my friends. Meet my trusted friend and colleague, Irene Radcliffe.
Hi.
With Pharaoh.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Welcome to Skinwalker Ranch.
After we finished our meeting, Pete Kelsey and his colleague, Irene Radcliffe, an expert from a 3D visualization company known as Pharaoh, arrived on the property to help us with our experiment. The plan was to verify that a massive invisible dome really does encompass the triangle and other parts of the ranch.
So Irene, I want to know more about your first reaction when you saw the data that Pete collected out here.
Well, I'd never seen anything quite like that before. Just the shape and the structure of the dome itself, that was pretty unique.
Let's just start with the hypothesis that there is some sort of physical barrier or phenomena there that the LiDAR detected, this dome. So we're going to do an experiment to attempt to measure the thing today. This is a pretty complicated and ambitious effort, so let's get to it. We got a lot to do.
I can't wait.
Irene, you'll come with me. We'll head out to the triangle.
Let's go.
To investigate the dome today, Cameron Fugel will fly Pete Kelsey in the helicopter at various altitudes between 120 and 3,000 feet. They'll travel from west to east and then back east to west multiple times through the area that the dome is believed to cover. All the while, Pete will use a handheld LiDAR slam scanner which emits infrared laser beams to confirm the size and boundaries of this massive dome. The helicopter will also be transmitting a constant radio frequency signal at 1.2 gigahertz. Eric chose that frequency because he wanted a baseline signal that would be different from any other frequency that our equipment might emit. That way, there will be no confusion, and it will make it easier to track during the experiment as the helicopter flies through the believed barriers of the dome.
The best thing about this experiment is it's going to be repeatable. We can see what it does each time it goes from east to west and west to east.
We'll be observing the aviation exercises conducted today from multiple locations, including what we call the arc, which will allow us to monitor our measurements in real time in front of our eyes.
All right, I'm going for startup at this time.
There he goes. He's headed over to our starting point at Homestead 2. These blue dots show his location.
All right, we're just about over the triangle here at 100 feet. I'm going to slow it up a little bit.
Copy that, Cameron.
Hey, Eric, I'm starting to see some weird anomaly behavior at the triangle.
Yeah, so we're getting the spots lighting up with the red points. Everything's clean all the way up here until we get to the triangle, and now I'm getting these data corruption errors. I don't know.
So we're seeing this right before this experiment.
Yeah. Even in the very earliest stages of this experiment, we're seeing erroneous data points above the triangle. This is a region of the ranch where we've seen all sorts of anomalous events play out. It could well be that the early indications coming out of that GPS tracker will provide evidence of something special taking place here.
With every pass that Cameron made through this believed dome at an altitude of 120 feet, right when he went over the triangle, the equipment malfunctions seemed to get worse and worse. It really was like something didn't want us to collect data right at that spot.
Look at this. See those GPS errors?
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing is he'll get a certain distance west, this will go away. Right on that dome boundary, we get this.
Okay,
There it goes. I'm telling you,
Cameron,
there
where are
it is.
you at right now, east to west?
I want that GPS point.
We're right over Homestead 2, 1,000 feet and 10 knots.
Copy that.
Watch this next pass.
The second that the helicopter gets inside the dome, Jim has all kinds of error messages on his controller screen. But when the helicopter goes outside the boundary, the messages disappear just on the outside of this invisible barrier.
Would you like to try a different altitude? If you can, do a pass at 3,000 feet. All right, a pass at 3,000 feet.
The final test of this experiment was to see what happens when the helicopter flies above the believed dome. If nothing strange were to occur, that would offer even more evidence that this thing is real.
Our camera's at 3,000 feet now.
Hey, how's that LiDAR looking?
We have no errors.
So it's not doing it now.
The LiDAR's working again.
Yeah, he's well above the top of that dome.
Wow.
Alrighty. How's everything looking? Are we ready to call it?
I've got what I need.
Pete says he's got everything he needs.
Yeah, 10-4, Cameron, if you want to head back.
Sounds good.
Hey, Brandon. Hey, Cameron.
Hey, Eric. Hey, team.
Great to be with you guys.
A lot of data to cover.
I'm anxious to see what you found.
Yes.
After 2 days of processing all the data from our experiment, Eric and Pete Kelsey called us into the command center for a review while Brandon and Cameron joined us on video conference. And I don't think any of us had ever been so anxious for a debrief.
I want to bring up the GPS record that I got off of that sensor on the helicopter skid during the course of the experiment. So I'm going to give you essentially the summary view of the entire experiment. Do you see those red points? These are the errors.
Yeah, that's great.
Look where the error points occur.
Whoa.
Now look what happens here. I'm seeing a column.
So that's right over the triangle.
Correct.
So that's even more interesting.
As it stacks up, we start to see the pattern.
This data actually matches all the data we've seen for 5 years now.
Yep.
The triangle is at the dead center of this believed dome. And in addition to all these GPS errors, this is right where we previously saw a mysterious blob destroy a rocket 31 feet in the air. It's also where Jim Royston obtained LiDAR data of something resembling a possible wormhole. And it's where we saw a laser beam literally cut off 2,000 feet high right at the top of this dome. It looks like the thing could actually be real. So what is it? So what's next?
I think we want to jump into Pete's material.
All right, what else you got, Pete?
Yeah, so I post-processed the data for terrestrial laser scanners from the triangle. Last year, the dome was in the sky. The hemisphere was above ground. But now, I'll bring it up. This is a dome that's underground. 300 meters underground.
It's a
Wow.
I can't believe what I'm seeing. The same geometry, essentially, as last time. It's amazing data. So I call Irene right away. And Irene asked me, do you have any unusual data in your scans? And I said, yeah, I have subterranean domes in all of my scans. And she said, so do I.
Wow. Well, it's really interesting that we have an intact dome-like structure below ground, just as we've been talking about above ground.
Yes. What's really interesting is that the LiDAR did not pick up the above-ground dome this go-around, but our other instruments did. Our other instruments are showing us there's something there, but we didn't find it this time in the LiDAR.
Right.
Let's spend some time looking at last year's work again.
Yes.
This is the model based on Pete Kelsey's original scan of this anomaly.
So we have LiDAR data here above and below the surface, and maybe they're both showing the same thing.
Right.
Yes.
So there they are. I'm pretty excited.
Wow.
I mean, I feel like we're in a bubble here.
You're right, Thomas. There could be a huge bubble that goes above and below the ground.
This is a total mystery once again.
Yeah. It sounds crazy as hell is how it sounds.
Yeah.